article that talked about Will Smith was actually the Entrepreneur's Handbook. And the title of the article is How Will Smith Went from $2.8 million in debt to $350 million in cash. And the article's by a guy named Joseph Mavericks. And I thought that this article, this Will Smith piece, was good. And I think it's worth talking about. So we're going to break it down right now on drboystv.com. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, subscribe, and all that. We're going to get started right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Put your hashtag B1 in the chat if you agree with me that Black people need to come first. Hashtag B1, that is our calling card. That means that we believe our community needs to be the top priority, that any politician that wants our vote needs to take care of our community. Our money needs to stay in our community. And if we don't solve our own problems, nobody else will. So give me a hashtag B1 in the chat if you agree with that philosophy. I hope that you agree, because if you can't agree with me that Black people need to be prioritized, then I cannot be your friend. So let's move on. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button. I want to talk about something that I hope will help you in your journey to become whatever you want to be. Some of y'all business owners in here, shout out the name of your business. Put the URL and all that stuff. Some of you maybe you're not business owners yet, but I can tell you actually how you can be a business owner in 60 seconds or less. You want to know the secret? How you can be a business owner in 60 seconds or less. Can somebody guess? I'm literally going to tell you how to be a business owner today. The way to be a business owner in 60 seconds or less is you open up your phone, go to Cash App, and buy you some shares of stock. If you buy shares of stock, you are a business owner. I don't know if you thought of it that way, but the companies are owned by the shareholders, right? So actually don't fall into this myth and this lie that in order to make a lot of money, you got to work yourself into an early grave, or that you have to be running the business, or you got to be a full-time entrepreneur. That's nonsense. You don't have to do that. You can actually just be an investor. And I'm going to tell you what, I made a killing off of some cannabis companies. Cannabis has been taking off since the Biden thing. Virgin Atlantic has been really, really good to our family. And believe me, Sir Richard Branson did that work. I ain't do nothing. I ain't went to one meeting. I don't know nothing about the company's plans. All I know is that I put my money in there. It doubles. That's a good day's work. That's a good day's work. So get paid the flyway. Don't fall for the sucker stuff that says you got to work until you die. But anyway, let's move on. So speaking of smart investors and smart people, there's a guy named Will Smith. Will Smith is one of the actors that I admire him. I respect him. He's one of the people on my short list of celebrities that I've always said, gosh, it'd be really interesting to have a conversation with him. Believe it or not, Ice Cube was actually on my short list, and I met Ice Cube. So that was kind of cool, right? Because I've been listening to his music my whole life. And so Will Smith is actually on that short list too. And I know people that know Will, and I admire, there's something about him that's a little bit different. I don't know Will directly. I know his brother, Harry. I had about a 3-hour conversation with Harry. And then it went so well that we had another 3-hour conversation, or 2 hours. It was a long time. And he's a smart guy. He looks just like his brother. He's also into finance. And we both have a fascination with financial topics and ironically, the history of World War II, right? So we were literally discussing detailed history of World War II and financial stuff. And I met him out in Hollywood, and I really liked the guy a lot. And it showed me something about their family and where they come from. They come from good stock. They have smart parents. And I picked that up just from kind of talking to him. And so when I see Will kind of doing these great things and saying these really wise things, wiser than some celebrities are just stupid. I mean, seriously, just because you're famous don't make you smart. it lets me know where he comes from. So I thought this would be worth talking about. And so when I saw this article, the article's in theentrepreneurshandbook.com, and it's called How Will Smith Went from 2.8 million in debt to 350 million in cash. So what I'm going to do is read a little bit of this to you and then kind of fill in the blanks so that you can kind of get the Dr. Boyce interpretation on this. I hope that's okay. Give me a yes if that's all right if I do this. Okay. So here's one. So what they did was they laid out a few little tips in terms of how Will lives his life based on their interpretation. And again, I'm going to add a couple things here, but he says, don't build a wall, lay a brick. He says, this one year, my father had a shop, and for whatever reason, he decided he wanted a new wall on the front of his shop. He tore it down probably 16 feet high, 30 feet long entirely. My brother and I had to dig a 6-foot hole for the foundation, and we would mix the concrete by hand. For a year and a half, every day after school, we built this wall, just my brother and I. I vividly remember one day standing back, looking at the wall, thinking to myself, there's going to be a hole here forever. After a year and a half, we finally laid the last brick and the whole wall was built. So he thought that it would take forever to build the wall, and eventually the wall was built in over a year and a half. He says, my father stood back with my brother and I, looked at us and said, don't ever tell me you can't do something. And then he walked into his shop. So basically he's saying, so his interpretation is you don't set out to build a whole wall. You don't set out to do something gigantic. You just do little things, right? It's the little things that will get you there. He said, nobody said, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that ever existed. You don't start like that. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. There will not be one brick on the face of the earth that will be laid better than this brick. And I'm going to do it in the next 10 minutes. And you do that every single day, and soon you have a wall. I recognize that. I recognize that line of thinking. That's the kind of thinking. I'll give you examples. If you're a football fan, and you watch, some of the best football players, whether you're talking about the Patrick Mahomes of the world, the Tom Brady's of the world, they kind of just line up for every snap, right? Even if the team's down by 3 touchdowns, they line up for every snap. They execute every play with precision. And and I think you can look at life that way. You don't eat elephants one bite at a time. You don't try to get everything at once. You just do the little things. Every day you have a philosophy that says, every little thing I do, I'm going to do it a little bit better than everybody else. And what happens is that doing the little things every day a little bit better than everyone else adds up to the big things. That's when you get those lifetime achievement awards where you're like, wow, I did all of that. And you don't believe it because you only were doing the next thing that was in front of you, and you just kept doing that. And next thing you know, you had something amazing done. So I get that. I know that. I live by that. That's a philosophy I live by. Every day I just get up and I just execute. I say, okay, boys, line up on the ball, take the snap, drop back, and throw the pass, right? You might throw an interception. You might get sacked. You might take a fumble. You might take a loss. But either way, you line up, take the snap, drop back, and throw the ball, right? I live by football and war analogies, in case you're wondering. That's my toxic masculinity speaking. All right, so anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. And also, in case you guys don't know, we actually have a platform that we own. It's a lot like Facebook, except it doesn't have all the functionality, but it's pretty good, and it's black, which that right there makes it better. It's called blagenough.com. So here is the word. We trademarked this word, actually, and we own this, and you can actually look up people in your own neighborhood. Like, you can literally click down on where you live, and you can find other people on the platform who live near you, and you can get together and form investment clubs, have parties, whatever. Well, I mean, you got social distancing and all that. I'm not going to tell you how to handle that, but I ain't going to lie. I went to a Super Bowl party, so I'd be a hypocrite if I told you what to do. All right, so anyway, let me keep going. All right, next. He says, separate talent and skill. I think that's a good suggestion. He says, I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is this: ridiculous, sickening work ethic. While the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working. The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, have dreams, and want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft. And that is true. I can't tell you how often I run into people who have these great business ideas. They're like, oh, I got a great idea, Dr. Boyce. It's going to change the whole black community and make $10 billion. And I'm like, okay, but have you made the first dollar yet? Well, no, but it's going to. Okay, well, go make the first dollar, go lay your first brick, and then we'll talk about changing the whole black community after you make your first dollar. And what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of people think that having a good idea and having a few moments of inspiration is the same as actually achieving a lifetime goal that takes 10,000 hours of consistent work. A lot of people think that having a good orgasm during sex is the same as actually raising a child to the age of 18. Those are two different tasks. Making a baby does not make you a parent. Parents, all the parents in the room, please confirm this for me. Being a parent requires thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of you consistently doing the same thing every single day and doing it to the best of your ability. Because if you mess up, you forget to feed the baby for 2 days in a row, the baby's dead. So literally, that whole idea when he talks about talent versus skill, you're talking about, something that you're just sort of born with. You're talking about potential versus realization. Potential that's not realized doesn't matter. Like literally, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you do not put in the work and work that talent out, that's like having a mine or having a mountain. And you say there's $1 billion worth of diamonds in the mountain, but you haven't drilled for one single diamond. Well, it doesn't matter. That diamond might as well just be a big old hill of might or that big mountain might as well be just a big ball of nothing because you haven't drilled out the diamond. So a lot of y'all are like those diamond mines. You got diamonds inside. You got $1 million ideas inside of you. You got $1 billion worth of potential inside of you, but you ain't dug it out. And drilling is painful. Drilling is hard. It's really, really tough, right? So if you compare most people to who they are versus who they could be, if they really got their stuff together, it's like this. For everybody, it's like this. So the question is, can you make it like this? Can you get half of that out of there? Because people who even go halfway up, like literally realizing maybe 20 or 30% of their truest potential, those tend to be really outstanding people, believe it or not, because most people are down here at 2%, 5%, 0%. So don't be one of those 0% people. Be at least a 30%er, like at least do a third of what you could be doing. So I like that. I like that talent versus skill. That's critically important. People that are good at almost anything understand that it is the amount of time you spend learning how to do something that makes you great. So having a good idea means nothing if you don't put in the work. So it's two concepts that are actually connected. What, right? One is laying one brick at a time, right? Brick, and then you build a big wall. The other is I got the talent, but I'm going to develop the skill, which is just like laying bricks. Every day, I'm going to work on my skill. I'm going to work on my skill. I'm going to work on my skill. Next thing you know, I've done 10,000 hours of the same thing. Then I become a genius. Genius is not just something you're born with. Genius is something that is developed and evolved by you getting a habit of consistently doing the same thing every day. Michael Jordan was a basketball genius, not because he was born 6'6". Thousands of men are born 6'6", not because he could jump high. Lots of men have a high vertical leap. Michael Jordan was a basketball genius because he spent tens of thousands of hours in the gym and spent more time in the gym than everybody else. And that allowed his talent to come out. He dug for the diamonds and he dug deep. That's why he's a champion and most people are not. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. By the way, there's my Twitter. Please follow me on Twitter if you want to hang out and have. I like to use my platforms for smart things. I know a lot of people like to get up there and share stupid jokes and make dumb comments, but well, sometimes I make dumb comments, but most of the things I do, I like to challenge your thinking. So if you're open-minded and you believe in free thought, then my Twitter is a good place to go. It's Dr. Boyce Watkins 1. All right. So next, he says, have a mission statement. He said, I've had a mission statement for probably the past 10 years. For the last few years, the mission statement has stayed the same. It's been to improve lives. I want my life, work, family to mean something. If you are not making someone else's life better, then you're wasting your time. Your life will become better by making others' lives better. I like that a lot, and I believe that he lives that philosophy. I heard him say something one day that I really vibed with, that I really related to, and I love this, is he talked about the joy of being famous. And a lot of people don't see fame as being joyous. Like a lot of people get to the point where they're triggered and scared and mad and pissed off and feel like everybody's trying to use them or that it's all about them. They become divas or whatever, right? And that can happen. I can see why that could happen because when you are famous, whatever that is, I'm not Will Smith famous, but I've signed enough autographs to make my hand hurt. I've bumped into people on the street all around the world who know who I am. I've dealt with, some of the crazy stuff so I've dealt with just enough to know what it feels like. And the thing about it is that you can either use that and use it to make you into a terrible person, or you use it to say, oh my God, this is amazing. You mean that if I just tell you that I like your outfit, you're gonna really feel good. Like, I can really make your day better if I tell you that you look good in that dress, or that's a really nice suit, or that was a really great idea. So that's pretty cool, right? You hear people that'll say, wow, that means a lot coming from you. I'm like, oh yeah, well, I got more where that came from. Let me tell you some more stuff that's really gonna get you like on cloud 10, that's gonna have you feeling good and reaching your potential, right? So when Will Smith talks about making people's lives better, I love what he's talking about, because he's really speaking on the fact that in life, you kind of get what you give, right? If you're giving out, strong positive vibes, and you're lifting other people up and investing in other people, chances are karma does become very real, and you get what you're giving out, right? So ultimately, what you want to think about as you become more successful is that spiritual development, so that you can have the spirit that helps you understand that the more you want to receive, the more you should be giving. That goes back to everything like networking. George Fraser, in his book, Success Runs in Our Race, George Fraser, let me tell you about George Fraser. I know him well, and I love this man to death. George Fraser, his book is required reading in all HBCUs, sold hundreds of thousands of copies. He's an expert in networking. And one thing that's interesting about George is he practices what he preaches. Give me a yes in the chat if you know who George Fraser is. So George basically is a guy who explains that when you want to network, when you want to get something from other people, you give. So when Will Smith is talking about giving, what he's really talking about is the fact that that's how you win in every area of your life. That's how you win in love. That's how you win in economics. Because actually, economic theory is based on a simple idea that says that when you have lots of trust and lots of giving, lots of spending, lots of investment, lots of hiring, you have a strong economy. Because if you're hiring and you're investing and you're spending, then guess what? Those employees that you're hiring are going to come back and spend money in the economy because they're doing well. Banks are making loans, and which allows for investment, which creates jobs, right? Consumers are giving, they're spending money, which is strengthening the businesses, which creates more opportunities, right? So if everybody's in an economy, and a lot of you have economies of love in your household with your spouse or with your family. This is why I've been obsessed with relationships. A lot of people didn't understand. They said, Dr. Woods, why are you talking so much about relationships lately? Because relationships are the key to everything. Relationships are the key to almost everything about success that you can ever possibly imagine. So I figured out, and George Fraser was one of the people that helped me understand this, that if you master relationships, you will typically be able to master success. So I encourage you to consider that idea, that if you know how to meet people and make their lives better, then guess what? You will have a long line of people that will be lining up to make your life better, and they're going to say good things about you at your funeral. So shout out to Will Smith for that point. I thought that was an excellent point, and I think that shows he kind of gets it. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. The URL I put on the screen right there is allblackeconomics.com. You can actually get a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar. It's a short read, but it's powerful, and it leans on the 100-year plan I have for the Black community. Of course, you feel free to ignore the plan, but I have a PhD, so I'm not stupid, so I think these things through. And so this is a plan I laid out. So it doesn't matter. 80% of all Black people are probably not going to listen, but you're in the talented 10th or the talented 20th because you're here, which means that you make a plan for your family and your descendants. And I guarantee, even if everyone decelerates and drops, you're going to accelerate and elevate. That's what's going to happen. So we're going to have a fork basically in the Black community. Some people are never going to grow. Some people are going to be stuck, but there are going to be a few of you, a big chunk of you, millions of you actually, that are actually going to elevate and actually have more money than white people. So let's shout out to the white people that we're going to have more money than in the next generation. So keep hustling. All right, next, hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button. Let me read more of this Will Smith article. Another thing that's stated here, and I'm reading, in case you just got here, I'm reading from the article, how Will Smith went from 2.8 million in debt to 350 million in cash. And I'm going to add some financial stuff. He actually talked about spiritual principles, which I think are important, but I'm going to throw in a couple of financial thoughts that might help you understand this a little bit better. He also talks about having a mission statement. Oh, sorry, we already talked about that. Okay. The next one is, loss is bound to joy. Loss is bound to joy, like pain and suffering are bound to joy. This is a Will Smith quote. Being able to survive something is actually a big part of being able to find the next wave of joy. You appreciate the smaller things. Man. Woo. I'll tell you, let me just say, I love that philosophy, because it's like, whoa, yeah, I get that. I love that. And I agree with that, and I'm laughing because that statement, loss is bound to joy, is such a critical thing to understand. Because basically what he's saying is that there's no pain, no gain. That basically it's two things. One is that if you go through loss, it helps you appreciate joy, right? Because if you've never had loss, then you don't know what joy feels like. Or if you've never been broke, it's hard to enjoy being rich. That's why you have rich kids that are born rich, that are really depressed and suicidal and on drugs or whatever, because they never know what it's like to struggle, right? So when you struggle, the blessing of the struggle is that you get the bliss of success or whatever, right? So that part I get. But what I really like about it also is there's another corollary, a connected idea to this that says that that access to your heaven lies on the other side of your hell. That literally whatever you fear, whatever you are stuck on, whatever bad habit you have that you can't break, you're going to have to go through a hell to break through that bad habit. You're going to have to go through hell to overcome this generational curse or whatever it is that's slowing you down. But the beauty of it is that if you go through that hell, then you can get to the heaven. Also, the last point that I'm picking up on this statement, which I thought was brilliant, is that loss is the greatest teacher that you'll ever have in your life. Like there's nothing on earth that will teach you more than just getting your ass kicked. Like Patrick Mahomes, after the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes will emerge in the next season wiser than the Dalai Lama. He will be wiser than the Dalai Lama because Patrick Mahomes the invincible, extraordinary Patrick Mahomes took the worst ass whooping of his entire life in front of 100 million people. Patrick Mahomes ain't been beat that bad since kindergarten. Like that man never gets beat. So you can't tell me Patrick Mahomes is not going to show up with a vengeance. He's going to show up ready to play. He's going to the next level now because he's had his trial by fire, right? Your invincibility gets cracked. Then you go on high alert and your spiritual awareness heightens, and you just literally become Neo in the Matrix. You go to the next level because Patrick Mahomes is not a guy that's going to be crushed by a big loss. Like he's not built that way. You can tell he's a very strong man. I respect him immensely. So he's going to do the other thing. He's going to take that eat that loss, like gobble it up, feel like crap for a while, experience that loss, and really hate life for a little bit. But then he's going to emerge as Superman. I guarantee it. So when you go through your loss, just know that your loss is your pathway to your joy. Your loss is your pathway to wisdom. There's not a wise person on earth that I've ever seen who can't tell you a story about extraordinary loss or extraordinary pain. Give me a yes in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. There's not a wise person. There's not a talented person. There's not a great person. There's not a great man or woman on this planet who can't tell you a devastating story to go along with their path to greatness. So if you want every day to be easy and fun and comfortable and lollipops and jelly beans, then you're not trying to be successful. You're not trying to be much of anything because it don't work that way. It just doesn't. Growth hurts. Growth hurts. Okay, so anyway, let's keep going. Let me move on. I'm reading this article that's about Will Smith. And do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button. And also, I have a life class, and I used to have a price on it, but actually I wanted to do it so bad that we made it free. So it's at blackkeystogreatness.com. That's blackkeystogreatness.com. And all that is, think of it as Uncle Boyce's life class. It's not financial. It's not about stocks and bonds. You guys know my PhDs in finance, but I also have a bigger PhD in life. And I really felt that this would be something where I could share with people the intangibles that come with winning championships in life. It ain't about how many degrees you have. It ain't about how much money you have. It ain't about, I know y'all think that the white man controls your access to any sort of success, wealth, or power. It ain't about none of that. It's the intangibles. And I had to figure that out along the way. And so I put that together, literally everything from time management to overcoming obstacles, dealing with haters, all of that stuff. And it's a philosophy, man. It's a culture. It's like a religion, right? If you have a religion for greatness and you're just like on your knees, like committed to the God of success, whatever that means for you, not in a sick way, not in a sacrilegious sort of way, but like you're really just on it like that and you're just committed at that level, then you really can't be stopped. Like, it really is a spiritual thing. That's why I get so sad when I see so many of our people that have broken spirits that will instantly forfeit the game to the white man before the game even begins. Well, the white man ain't gonna never let us have nothing, so I might as well not learn how to read. I might as well just give all my money away. What's the point in trying? Because white supremacy, they don't let you do nothing unless you can't do nothing. Some of us ain't built like that. Some of us can't just forfeit the game before the game begins. So maybe if you're in that category where you were raised to believe that white people are your gods, that literally that if they decide it ain't gonna happen, it ain't gonna happen, then you shouldn't be here. This is not the place for you. I'm a believer that you are the God, that the God is inside of you. I'm a believer that if black excellence and white supremacy are in the same room, black excellence will win that game 145-6. Like, I believe that if black excellence and white supremacy get in a boxing match, black excellence will knock out white supremacy like Mike Tyson 1991. Like, I believe black excellence can't be stopped. I believe that when you truly dig deep, and it's not just intellectual, it's really spiritual, and it's everything. It's spiritual, it's analytical, it's a combination of everything that allows you to get to. I mean, it's hunger, it's everything from love and passion to anger, to being pissed off, to being like just driven, like excitable, or where you dream about it and you just gotta have it. Like, can't nobody stop somebody like that, because at that point you're a fanatic. You are an absolute fanatic. And I really believe that people that really want to have high levels of success, you got to be insane about your shit. Like, you got to be literally crazy about how great you are. You got to be madly in love with your dream, where you Romeo and Juliet and can't nobody break you together. Like you just go to the grave with it, or you're going to get it. One or the other, right? If you're in that category, you really think that you really think white people can stop that? No, they can't. So just know that. Like, let's stop all that slave talk. Like, well, the white folks, if the white folks don't let you do it, it ain't gonna happen. We try, but it can't happen. I don't do that. I don't do slave talk very well. I don't speak slave gibberish. So maybe your job is to free the slaves, right? So go be a slave. The slaves can go be slaves. We'll just come back and free the slaves, because I don't believe that's going to get you where you want to get to. All right. So next point, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel. We need your support because we're building black-owned media, and I really, really would love it if you guys would help us do that. All right. So the last point that Will Smith makes in this article that I thought was great, it's a great quote. He says, "I am motivated by fear." He said, "I have a fear of fear." Yes. There you go. Smart black man. "I hate being scared to do something. It's very simple. What developed in my early days was the attitude that I started attacking things I was scared of." Now, some people may not get that, right? And it's very contradictory. It's in contrast to how some of us were raised. A lot of us were raised in a bowl of fear. Like, a lot of us would literally, fear was the prison that many of us were born into. If you ever want to miss out on life, live your life afraid. Like, live your life constantly worried about all the things that can go wrong, and you will miss everything. Like, literally, you might as well go ahead and just get your AARP card and start planning your funeral, because some people die at the age of 25 but they get buried at 75. Seriously. Seriously, do not ever let people who are addicted to fear, the toxin of fear, become the guiding forces in your life. You can hear them out. They might have legitimate risk. Like he said, risk and danger is real for sure, but fear is a choice. Fear is a choice. And so this is tough. This is where I run in contrast to a lot of people in our community, because maybe you don't see it, but the fear trigger is huge. And people use that. They play on that. They play on it when it comes to getting you to vote for a certain candidate. They play on it when it comes to getting you to buy certain products. They love to scare you because they know that you scare easily, right? So what I would say is that I love what Will said about having a fear of fear. And, it's great because it kind of just says, the danger is going to be out there anyway. And fear does not increase the chances that you're going to be successful. Fear actually increases the chances that you're going to fail. Like, if you're a football player and you go on the field and you're afraid, that increases the chances you will get injured. Like, did you know that if you go out, or if you're a soldier and you go out on the battlefield afraid, then that increases the chances that something bad is going to happen to you, right? So maybe what some people do is they stay off the battlefield, they stay off the football field, right? And it's fine. For those people, maybe they don't have a desire to live. I don't know. But for those of you that really want to live, that want to eat the big piece of chicken, that want to know what it's like to stand on top of something, that want to know what it's like to be free, because freedom, has a lot of the same letters as the word fear. And literally, you can't get freedom if you have fear. People that are fearful don't usually get freedom because freedom is not usually handed out voluntarily. Freedom is typically something that you have to fight for. And if you can't overcome your fear to fight for freedom, then you'll never, ever be free, right? Like, so fear is a prison. Fear is it makes you fit for slavery. Fearful people are put in that slave box. In fact, pay attention. Whenever governments want to take away your freedom, what do? They tag into your fear. They make you afraid, and then they say, we're going to take away all these rights from you because we're going to keep you safe because you're so scared, and I understand you're scared. That's why we want you to sit still. Well, we're going to go out and make all the money. We're going to go out and get all the power. We want you to sit still in fear, because fear is going to be your prison and your excuse for a lack of action and activity. So with that said, I love what Will said about fear. You can't become a Will Smith type success by being afraid all the time. He had to take risks, calculated risks, right? I'm not a big risk taker in the sense of doing stupid things, but if I calculate the risk and I say, okay, there's a chance it ain't going to work out, but if it does work out, it's going to be awesome. Well, why not jump out there and do it? And let me give you a little secret. This is another secret. Will Smith didn't mention this in the article, but he probably knows this because he's a smart guy. When they surveyed older people and they asked them, what do you regret in your life? Like, if you could go back and do it over again, what would you do? They rarely regretted things that they did, but they were very regretful of things they did not do, right? So they have more regrets about things they didn't do than about things they did do. So sometimes it's just jump out there and do it. Just try it. Doesn't work out, that's fine. You'll recover. You'll move on. You'll say, oh, well, it was a great experience. Or you'll find something else that you came out of it. That was like, did you know, I talked about Twitter. Twitter, you may not know this. Twitter was actually the product of a failed company. They created this company. I got to go look up the name of it. But basically, they had all these bells and whistles, and nobody wanted it. Like, they spent all this money on this company. It was a complete failure. But they realized that people like the little tweets. That's all they like. They like the tweets. They didn't like anything else. So they just said, okay, well, let's center the whole company around the tweets. Let's pivot. And now they've got this multi-billion-dollar company. So a lot of times without your failure, you don't get your success. Failure, things we consider failure, loss, or whatever the case may be, those are actually learning experiences. And I think you know this, but I think maybe you need me to remind you of this so that when you're dealing with all these things, you'll have a way to get to the bright side of that, right? Don't sit in the darkness forever. All right. So anyway, so that was what Will Smith had to say in this article. I admire Will Smith. I think he's great. I met his brother Harry. We talked a couple times. I got to call him. I've had his number in there. I haven't talked. I went to one of his movie premieres. He premiered a really good movie. I don't have the name of it in front of me, but I really think that whatever it takes for you to get your inspiration, do what you got to do. I want you to get that. I want you to be successful, and I want you to win. So anyway, if you could do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button. Also, don't forget that this podcast is actually on audio too. So if you go to Spotify, it's called the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on audio. So, or you can go to the drboycebreakdown.com and you can find it if you want to listen to the podcast. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it, but we're all over the place. So have a good night, everybody. It was great talking to you, and I will see you very, very soon. So take care. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, 10, 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.